Welcome to You Can Call Me Goddess because you're so much more than a queen. My name is Manouk Vink. I am a trained intuitive energy healer specialized in transforming your body and your life. In this podcast, we are going to be diving into everything to unlock the goddess that you are within you. Think of it as the ultimate glow up from the inside out. It's time to unlock your power. It's time to unlock your magic. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome back to Unveiled. Today I have a different type of episode for you that came to me very last minute when I was talking to one of my friends and fellow intuitives, Manouk. So she and I decided to do a podcast swap where she comes onto my podcast and then I go onto hers. So she wanted me to come on her podcast and have her members there. She has a membership community and to be able to ask me questions. And I just thought, wow, that's such a great idea. So, very last minute, like 2 days before this podcast, I told my members of Unveiled that if they wanted to join live, they could and ask Manouk questions. So, one member was able to join live, which was so amazing because it just gave it a different kind of feel. And I decided I'm going to do this probably once a month where I bring on a guest. And if you're in my membership at any level, I have 3 different levels of my membership. So at any level of my membership, you'll be able to join us live once a month and ask my guests questions. So you would get a little bit more advanced notice than I did this time. But I just had never thought of doing that until Manouk mentioned it. So we have my membership client, Annette, on here. And Manouk is an intuitive fitness and nutrition expert, and she's just talking about her journey from having OCD, from trying the very drastic dieting routine to where she's at now. So I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I did, and hope to see you in my membership where you can come and join our next live guest. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Hi, so
Um,
excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on. And Annette is for my membership. So she's going to be asking, she's also in GLH. So she's going
Yes,
to be,
yes, I do recognize the name.
oh, awesome. Yeah. So I'm so excited. So if you want to just start, just for the listeners for the podcast, Anouk
Yeah.
met in guided light healing. I think Dark Forces was the first class we were in together, I want to say. Or
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, because you started with intuition, I think, before me, right? I think so. Yeah.
yeah, and I think at one point we were in intuition level 2 together. There was crossover, but I think the first we first met in Dark Forces. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, why
For
don't you
sure.
just give us your background, how you came to GLH, like the whole story.
The whole story. Yeah, sure. Of course. So basically, how do I say this? So I started as, well, where do I begin? Because it's like, a whole story that ties in together. I basically started as a nutritionist. Like I've always was wanting to help people in one way or another. So I studied psychology, found myself in a corporate job, and then ended up thinking, this is not for me. This is not my vibe. I need to do something different. Right. And I was like getting suffocated in the corporate world. And what I noticed already from a young age, and I think like a lot of girls can identify with this. I struggled with my body image, with myself, with my confidence, with all of this stuff. So I think that's where it kind of started, where I was like, I wanted to help people. And then I actually struggled with OCD when I was really, really young. So I was like really I had like compulsive behaviors from a young age, and I wanted to understand why that was already at like a young age, right? I wanted to understand how that worked and all of this. And then I remember like going to one psychologist, child psychologist, who really intrigued me. So I started asking her about how all of that worked, right? She made me put like these little she had like a sandbox, and then she made me intuitively, I'm like now figuring that out, pick out like little statues to put in the sandbox about how I felt. I don't really remember. She would ask me questions and she'd be like, okay, which one like resonates? And I remember loving that. I was like, this is so cool because she could tell me a story about, why I was picking those things. And I think that's when I sort of was like, this is so interesting. And I started thinking, oh, maybe I should become a psychologist. I remember asking her about her work. So then I was like, oh, this is something that I could do, right? This is something that I would like to do. So anyways, that's kind of where I realize now some of that already like started. And so I ended up studying psychology, ended up in a corporate job, hated it, felt suffocated, and then ended up going and working at like a health and fitness center. And actually during that period, yes, during that period, I started competing in a bodybuilding competition. So it kind of started out as like, so I met a friend at work, and it started out as a kind of an idea because I was always struggling with my body. I felt like I was trying everything, training. I thought I was eating right, even though I had no idea what I was doing. I thought I was training right, even though I still had so many questions about all of that. So I ended up doing this bodybuilding competition, and it was sort of like more like an idea to just sort of see where it would take me. And when I did that, I'm very good. I think that's part of my OCD trait that I still kind of have. When I want something, I don't let go until I get it. So, and then I'm very obsessive about it. So,
Mhm.
like, that is all that matters to me in that moment. So, that's why that really served me in the training world. So, I ended up like really like seeing the results, especially when I see the results, then I keep going.
Mhm.
So I think this applies to the GLH work as well. So that ties in nicely as well. So I ended up doing that, immediately started seeing how I was like getting results because I was focusing on the right nutrition. It was very extreme. I never recommend what I did, but I saw the results from it. I learned a lot about my body, about training, about nutrition, about how you can literally transform your body like crazy when you do the right things, or when you do the right things in the right way, not in the way that I did it, but it made me realize how much power you have over transforming your body. And then what happened was I was like, okay, I need to help people with this. I need to help people feel confident in their bodies and figuring that out. But little did I know, just because I got that physique, right, didn't fix the internal struggles that I was having. So that is where the ball started rolling. I got out of the competition. I really did everything by the book, reverse dieting and trying to maintain the body fat percentage that I had or a little higher and still stay as lean. But my body started rebelling towards me because it needed more nourishment, it needed more love. And what I kept doing, I kept beating up my body for not doing what I wanted it to do.
Mhm.
So, what ended up happening, even though I did everything right, I did compete in a second competition. I didn't get half as lean, and I really struggled with that. And then after that, I started gaining weight even though I was training like 2 hours a day, eating in a very low calorie deficit, 1200 calories, and my body just kept putting on weight. And so I realized I needed to start healing my body and my perception of myself. And that's kind of when that journey started taking off. And I started working as a nutritionist, yeah, freelance, like freelance nutritionist, while still doing some other jobs, to keep the business up and running. I realized I really liked helping people with that because I realized how little people knew about nutrition. And for me, the nutrition aspect seemed more important than the training aspect at the time. But what I realized that people wanted, like they wanted to do both. So then I ended up becoming a personal trainer, but I've always wanted more, and I've always like been into the spiritual world, and I actually had like a spiritual coach around like right after the first competition, I think, and she really made me realize something. And that was because having been to psychologists as a young girl struggling with OCD and all of these things, I didn't like how they sometimes would kind of make me feel kind of like more like, "Oh, that's so sad." Like it was like not empowering at all, to the point where at some like with one of the psychologists, I was like, "Can you stop babying me? Can you just tell me like what's the deal?"
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like this is not helping me at all. And then I even had one experience where someone took the DSM-5, where all the mental health stuff. She took it out and she just started looking through the things. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, so next week we're going to talk about medication." I was like, "I don't want medication. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not what I'm here for." So that was the first and the last time I went there. And then I left. And so I found this other, like, she was also very spiritual. And it's the first time that I realized that you could be spiritual, but you didn't have to be a hippie, you know? You didn't have to be like, she would always say, like, drinking green smoothies, doing yoga, and meditating 10 hours a day, you know? Because I didn't identify with that. I've always liked like luxury things. I always liked, like, like being like luxurious, doing the fun stuff, not having to like, grow hair under my armpits and, do that whole thing. I was like, that's not me. So, and I didn't agree, like we even have a word for it in the Netherlands. Like it's like floaty, like, like a little bit up in the air. You're not fully here, that type of person.
Mhm.
So I went for a session with her, and for the first time, because she had such light energy, I'm realizing now, I think she lifted me up in her energy. So when I was there, she literally like touched something in me that made me realize how truly powerful I was.
Yeah.
And coming out of that session, I was like, yeah, but that's how you're supposed to feel.
Mhm.
You're not supposed to go back to the garbage. You should like step into what you're meant to be. And so that's when those things started clicking. I was very interested in that, but we never really learned intuition and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so I was like still working on my business, and then I started like wanting to do my business online and helping more women and feel empowered, and actually, as Al also says in our coachings, like giving women the tools so that they understand training and nutrition,
Yeah.
other than having to rely on like, what the outside world is telling you, because it's full of BS out there, right? Like there's so much trash out there. There's so much like fakery, like people pretending they've achieved something that they haven't, drugs being like used, all kinds of things. And I wanted women to feel empowered in themselves, that they understand how everything works, because that really helped me break free from like the cycle. And then I actually ended up wanting to do dark forces first, but I realized I wanted to manifest more like financially as well, and rolled into the GLH world, starting with like the money manifestate or financial mastery
Mhm.
and intuition. I didn't even realize what it was until now doing this. And I've always like thought like, oh, you have to like, but we're all born like that. That's the crazy thing. We're all born like that. But like, I didn't realize you could like train these gifts
Yeah.
and open them up. And now that is like the next level to where I'm at, where I realized what my body was doing to me. And I tapped into that already back then, that my body was rebelling towards what I was doing to it. But now connecting all the dots together and realizing that it was my body reflecting to me how I was being literally abusive towards myself for not being the way that I should have been. And now adding in this component and the intuition component, and being able to scan people's energetic bodies and see what they need nutritionally with the background and with everything, is just a total game changer. So that's the short, long version of how I ended up at GLH.
Well, I love it because we've never really like talked about that because we're always
Yeah.
talking other things. But two things came up. One is that's so funny because I think maybe that's a common theme is like people come to GLH for the financial, like I need, because that's exactly what I did. I was like, ooh, I'm going to buy the financial analysis or something. So I went on their website,
Mhm.
it wouldn't let me purchase it. Like it just wouldn't. So I ended up reaching out to Megan and I was like, I'm trying to purchase this and it won't let me. And she's like, oh, that's usually a sign that your higher self wants you to do something else. So I took financial mastery. That was the first class I ever took with them too.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. I started there. Yeah, and then into intuition right after, cuz
Yeah.
that was like the next step, and I like, it's literally everything that I've been looking for, because I remember right before, that's the funny thing, right before I ended up training my intuition and doing all of this stuff, I've always been into astrology and figuring that out. I've always was like, I was diving into human design. Couldn't make much sense of it though. I was trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
Numerology. Like I went through all of it. I was like, oh, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. And then I was like, because I was always into this stuff, but I was
Mhm.
like, I don't want to be an astrologer.
Right.
Like yeah, but and then this just made everything like click into place, and also just it all makes so much sense. Like it just yeah, it just makes so much sense, and it's so cool, and I never realized how much this would transform my business as well. It's really
Yeah.
crazy.
No, I love that. I
Yeah,
didn't know that too. Like I even trained with an astrologer, but I couldn't quite, it was so complex. Like when you start
it
reading
is.
and stuff, it's just like so complex. But yeah, it was like exactly what you just said. And then the other piece is like it's such a beautiful story of how you've literally experienced all the extremes because that's what we have to do for our soul path, right? Because in order to help people, we need to experience all of those obstacles and extremes. And then now you can literally like help anyone at any stage of their like health journey, nutritional journey. Like you can tell them why they're not releasing excess weight, all of that. So,
100%. And a big component, I think, of me, because I remember having a conversation with one of my friends, and we'd always like kind of speak also about like I don't know, we'd always speak about like manifestation and things in the world, and I always believed there was like a path. I've always been like that.
mhm,
But like I remember me and her sitting in the train, and I told her like I was considering doing this bodybuilding thing, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I can see you on a stage like totally ripped with like," and I was like, I couldn't see it yet. I was like, "Yeah, there's no way." And the thing is, I think I said this to people. I was like, I think the reason I was able to do it, and I did it totally natural, which some people don't believe, but I did it totally natural, is because I was so sure I could do it. Like there was no doubt in my mind that I could do it. And I realized that because it just went. Like, I don't know what happened, but because I was doing the right things and I believed that I could do it, I did it. The
mhm,
second time round, however, the doubt started kicking in, and it didn't work. Plus, I was just being really, like, harsh to my body.
mhm.
So, it's and I needed to shift some perspectives. Like, my body was probably like, "Okay, girl, you've achieved this now. Like, let's take it to the next level, and let's see if you can figure out that this isn't it."
Right.
Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Totally. Well,
yeah.
you will you explain how you work with people like in your membership and then also with the new program you released, like what you do with the clients in there.
Yeah, sure, 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 of course. So, I have 2 programs at the moment. So, I have my membership, and then I have my Your Body is Magic program, and they come quite nicely, like, hand in hand together, and I'm even stirring up something new, but I think that will be July.
Mhm.
So basically, and then obviously one-on-ones. Basically what I do, what the first idea, the initial idea of the membership was, and that's the portal. You will see that in the portal when you enter and you join my membership. The first idea was basically you have your own like little mini personal trainer in a pocket. That was kind of the idea. So you open the portal, and inside the portal you have the explanation in short, without it being too complicated, in a simplified way. This is what you need to focus on when it comes to nutrition. This is how you calculate your nutrition. This is how many proteins, carbs, etc., etc. And that's what you need to focus on nutrition wise, and some tips and tricks. I can't speak. Tips and tricks to like make it easier on yourself to be able to enjoy those things and still eat the things that you love and understand how nutrition works, because that was a big thing for me. That really changed a lot for me. And then you also have a whole like module or a lesson. Yeah, it's a module on training. So basically, how does training work? What do you focus on? How do you set up your training program? How do you decide what's a priority exercise and what is not? How
Mhm.
do you build it out? And like all like little mini videos explaining how all of that works. We go into supplements, and then there's a little actually limiting belief module as well, and a rest and recovery module as well. And then inside there, I also have like exercises. So, an exercise index, because I'm very big on form. I think it is so important when you're going to the gym that you're executing the exercises correctly, because I cannot tell you how many times I see girls trying things out in the gym and they're going to hurt themselves. You're wasting your energy and you're going to hurt yourself all at the same time. And I think it is so important to understand what you need to be focusing on and how you need to be doing it, especially with social media, just throwing out certain exercises here and there. And also understanding like how it all works, because there's a lot of misconceptions about training. and that you need to be dying to get the results that you want. It's not true. That you need to be doing HIIT exercises to get the results that you want also could actually have a negative effect on your body. So all of that is inside the portal with a recipe ebook and some other goodies in there. And now I'm actually expanding with this kind of idea as well, where I'm going to do a Q&A every twice a month, which is open to everybody, but the membership gets access to them like for life.
Mhm.
And then that membership was designed for people who join the membership. I have a separate group chat and a community for them to talk, to motivate each other, to ask questions where necessary, and also me. And then we have a coaching call every 3 weeks to discuss progress, questions, and all of this stuff. So that was the first initial idea. And oh, and you get access to 4 workout programs online to start with. That was the initial idea. Then now adding in intuition, what I actually do is I do like a scan, an overall quick scan of members, and I kind of intuit what their macros would be. So to get them to the best body, like to get them in the best shape of their life, is basically I intuit that, or even true self body, because you have a body that you're meant to have in this lifetime. And that's kind of what I base a lot of it on. But I do ask members if they understand the concept. Would they rather go for the one filter or the other filter? So true self or best shape of their life, which probably most of the time will be on par. And then I go in and I pull how many carbs, how many proteins and fats they should be eating on a daily basis to achieve that result. And I even intuit which sources of protein, carbs, and fats they should be eating to get the best results that are most optimal for their body. And then I give them a guideline of which exercises to focus on, how many reps, how many sets, all of that I intuit based of their body's blueprint, basically the scan of the body. And obviously, then in the group chat, if they ever do have a question, I can sometimes tap in and see if, for example, a supplement will work for them. If, for example, they should be doing something different. And if they are developing their intuition, I also ask them to play around with the question. So even when you're in the gym, you can intuitively feel out if you should be doing one exercise or the other, if this is a good swap for that. So there's a lot of ways you can kind of go with it, but the basis of it is understanding how it all works for yourself, and then you having the empowerment and the tools to do it. So that's the membership. That's the membership. And then we have the Your Body is Magic program, which is basically, I would say it's like the glow up course, the 8-week glow up program. And I am coaching it live as we speak, but people can jump in and they can watch because the first 2 weeks are up. The third week I'm uploading as we speak. And in this program, we are going to dive into everything body reflections. So, and the idea is that you work through your body reflections, understand what every body reflection is telling you, so that you can not only shift that reflection and manifest basically your dream body, but you can also, as a result of that, shift your limiting beliefs. And because you're shifting your limiting beliefs, you start manifesting more abundance, better relationships, your dream life, basically, because it's the limiting beliefs that are holding you back from achieving everything that you desire in your life. And when you can go and use your body as your teacher, as your roadmap to figure out what is going on. So, for example, if you're holding on to fat in the legs, for example, you can be like, oh, I'm insecure. I'm beating myself up about my path in life. There's some shifting I need to do there. And when you become more secure in your path in life, not only will your legs slim down, but you will also start making better steps in your life and you will start transforming your life. We also do a lot of like self-image healing. We're diving into that. And when you start finding yourself more attractive, other people start finding you more attractive. When you start feeling more confident in your body, other people will start like seeing that in you and being more magnetized to you. So it all overlaps into one cool thing. And I love puzzling and figuring out all body reflections. I think it's super interesting. And I'm also doing, like, last week we spoke about anti-aging, because I wanted to be like the ultimate like glow up program where you like glow up yourself and anti-age yourself and get to the fittest, most sexy, most hottest version of yourself. And at the same time, you're kicking ass in life. So you literally like get everything in one because I believe it all interlinks. I believe it all interlinks. And the anti-aging part of it is just something that intrigues me so much, especially as a woman in my 30s, also, starting to go down that and wanting to stay younger and fitter for longer, and even diving into potentially, you know, rejuvenating my reproductive organs and all of that stuff because I still would like to have kids at some point, and I know that's also a concern.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to interlink all of that into this 8-week program to literally give you like the full body glow up, and then that translating into your life and understanding your body to the max. So those are the two programs that I have at the moment. And the 8-week program is running live right now. And then as soon as it's finished, I'm going to do something along the lines of having check-ins as well for those people that are joining the 8-week program. And then I have a whole community for everybody who is inside my program. And yeah, and I think I'm going to be adding in July. That's the new thing that I'm stirring up, is like a 4-week self-image healing intensive, because I feel it all is interlinked
Yeah.
into becoming the best version of yourself. So that's basically what I'm doing at the moment.
Basically, that's it. No,
Basically.
so much.
No, it's easy.
And learning and yeah, all of this stuff. So it's amazing.
Yeah, but you love it. That's why
Yeah,
you do it, It's like it makes you excited, and that's what this should feel like, I feel.
totally.
Yeah.
So I feel too.
Yeah.
Like it's so exciting. And I love that you're doing the anti-aging stuff too, because it's just like we need that so much right now with everyone, like with all the like Botox and fillers. And it's just like getting so far. Not that I'm like against that if that's what you want, totally
No,
like your choice. But it's like I purposely was like, I want to learn the secrets to like, not having to go that route because they are finding there's so many toxins and all of that in it. And if you don't heal the self-image, the limiting beliefs, it's not going to help with what you're really trying to.
it's not gonna change anything, and I myself, I was getting Botox
Mhm.
only for 2 years. I started, and then as soon as I entered this world, I stopped.
Mhm.
And I mean, I've made some great progress because I say this all the time. I really had severe like forehead lines, like really, really like I call them like Grand Canyons. So for me, first I was like, oh my God, this Botox, because I didn't even think that Botox could help it. That's how bad I thought it was at the time. But now with these tools, it's really cool because I get to like play around with it on myself and see how it works. I mean, I'm like, if my forehead stays like I still want to get better results, but if it stays like this, like I'm happy, and I haven't gotten anything in over a year right now. And it's so, especially where I'm in an Eastern European country at the moment. It's like all the women look the same. So it's a big thing here. And it's even like really ingrained because I have a friend with a aesthetics clinic,
Mhm.
and I went over there to say hi, and one of his doctors, like they say it. They go to you, and he was sitting with me. It's like, "Oh, you've got such a beautiful face, but I see you're very expressive."
Uh,
So they start like looking at your lines, and that's like also like, a good test for my self-image to be like, "Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm good."
wow, they do that. Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah,
wild.
but it's a lot of that right here. Even my friend saying, "Oh, I need to get my lips done." Oh, and then she's talking about her forehead, and I see like literally one line.
Yeah.
That's how deeply ingrained in it is. And obviously that keeps us more and more disconnected from our bodies, right? If we keep looking for external ways to fix it instead of like going inward and actually listening to what it's trying to tell us, and seeing that you could do that on your own without all of that
Yeah.
crap, basically.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
that's hard for people to believe because we've been so disconnected from ourselves, from our power, from what we're capable of.
Yeah.
That's the wild thing. And when you start connecting all those dots, you're like, holy shit, they've been like really mapping this out really well. to
Yeah.
disconnect us from literally everything, to
Yep.
make us so, like, submissive to everything that is going on, basically.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like we know it's like a group mind virus. It's like if you go on Instagram, someone's talking about getting Botox or fillers or whatever, then you go to someone else and then all of a sudden, like I've had this happen to me and then I'm like, "Oh, maybe I should just like go get like some Botox." And I'm like, "Wait, group mind virus, need to like clear that
I
out."
had it with lips. Yes.
Mhm.
It looks kind of nice. Maybe I should do it. And just like,
Yep.
"No, you've got good lips. What are you talking about?" Like,
Yep.
why?
That's like
Yeah.
the dark side of social media. It's just like they're just penetrating your thoughts. Your thoughts aren't even yours. And
Const
it's like,
Yeah, 100%, and it's with that as well, and that's something that I was speaking about actually in a one-on-one about, like, also with us in our 30s and, well, like, with, with having children and needing to start a family, I think that's a big part, and it's interesting because it's coming up for me now a lot more and more, also because my one of my best friends just had her first.
mm,
And so she's so open to all of this, right? She was already down this rabbit hole before I was in certain ways. And she started saying, "Yeah, well, Manouk, now seeing from a friend of mine who was struggling with fertility, it's not that easy. So you should start thinking about it, like putting that,
yeah,
stress on you." And you're like, wait a second, this isn't even my own. This
no,
thought isn't even I've never worried about it. I've always believed that it will happen
yeah,
and it will happen when it needs to happen. But this doubt starts creeping in from all areas. But it did make me want to dive into that more because I always believed. I honestly also always had a feeling like, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but like, I don't know if I've told you this, Angela, but we have like, I feel like we had a conversation about it. We did, about Santa Claus and things like that. We
yes,
spoke Did we speak about like that? Yes, we did. So here's something funny that you'll laugh at. When I was 7 years old, when I was 7 years old, I think that's when I sort of like started realizing, like, it's like almost that's when I gained consciousness of what was going on.
mhm,
And that's when my OCD also started like ramping up and started happening. And I started being very aware of life and death. It was like very like I would get panic attacks about it because I would freak out, like thinking of death, like what would happen. I thought, would I just cease to exist? Like it would really was like in my mind the whole time. And so we have in the Netherlands something other than Santa Claus. We have Sinterklaas, which is like basically Saint Nicholas. Like it's all Saint Nicholas, right? But this is like more closer to the original story. But he's like just like Santa Claus. He lives forever and all of this stuff. And I remember going to, because of I was obsessively washing my hands. I remember going to the child psychologist and talking about this and saying to her, "Yeah, but it's not fair. How come he gets to live forever, but I don't?" I was like, "That makes no sense." So 7-year-old, right? Like, what the hell are you talking about? But I've been like thinking about this for the longest time. I've always believed that we should be able to live longer than that we live.
yeah,
I feel like I should decide when I'm done.
yeah, totally. With what we're doing, we might be able to. So,
Exactly. So that's why it's so funny because it all like ties in, and I would love to take that vein down even more and see, because even with like the energy healing stuff that we're doing,
mhm,
I started realizing, and I had a click recently where I was like, so hang on, you die from something. You don't just die. Something has to happen to kill you, to otherwise you just stay alive. So if you're able to heal most things, then you should be able to live for way longer.
yeah,
So all of that stuff, it's so crazy with the aging stuff as well, that I don't know if you heard this, but that only 5% of the 100% of our aging symptoms are actually us aging. 95% is all body reflections, which
yep,
is like
yep.
insane.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, and when my parents, when they'll say like, "Oh, I forgot something. I'm just getting old." I immediately like put up a block. I'm like, "Nope, not taking that one." it all just starts feeding into that, and then it becomes a lot of focus, and then it's just like makes everything like, yeah, I
And
was.
it's so potent, right? Because even with videos and with videos that go around in the fitness world as well, after 30, they have that sound, right? Where everything starts cracking when you're doing an exercise. It's
Mhm.
like so potent. It's like really like, it's like grooming you to be like, yeah, you're gonna start like withering away now. It's like, oh, okay. It's
Yep,
so grim. It's like,
it
since
is.
when, right? Like, why? So we're basically telling ourselves the story that
Mhm.
that's the case. And then obviously if you continuously tell yourself that story, then that's what's gonna happen.
Yep, totally.
So yeah, it's very interesting
Yeah.
to find like it gets me really excited to figure all of this out.
Yeah. No, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. And I will link your website and social media in the show notes for anyone listening.
Yes.
And then is there anything else you wanted to add? And then I know Annette had a question. So,
Yeah, feel free for the questions. Well, the only no, I think nothing specifically, just
mhm.
like that this is so cool, and I love talking about all of this and all the developments in this area. It's super exciting.
Yeah.
And how it all overlaps, right? Everything that you do, that I do, and it's just really cool to be able to make those changes in people's lives, in your own life, and see the work. That's the wildest thing.
Mhm.
Like, I think it's how quickly actually, when you think about it, this stuff starts working when you do it right is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
especially when you've looked at other manifestation tricks where you're sitting in the bathroom and you're writing a letter with a candle and, like, I've done it.
Yeah. I think I've done it all.
And then it's like, "Oh, but this is what I needed. This is what I needed to do. Now it makes sense." Yeah. So, that's just what I love about it, and it makes a lot of sense. It's so practical actually when you think about it.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, Annette, do you want to ask your question? You can either just ask or you can put it in the chat, either one.
Sure. Let me make sure I got my volume on, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Your story was amazing. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
It's funny that you're in the Netherlands. My daughter literally just told me yesterday, maybe the day before, that she's wanting to go to graduate school in the Netherlands.
Oh,
We're in the US.
really?
And so when she said that, I'd never heard her say that before. So I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. All right.
Where? Did she say where? Amsterdam
She
or
didn't say where. She
Oh,
just said the Netherlands in general. And I was like, all right, well, that's kind of
very interesting.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited
Yeah.
for her. Then you said that's where you're from. So, interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so when you guys were talking about Botox and stuff, I was on Botox for probably 5.5, maybe almost 6 years for a couple of reasons. Number one reason, I experienced severe chronic migraines since I was like
Mhm.
11 years old, and tried all the different medications, dealt with all the different side effects, and finally just said, the side effects aren't worth what I'm going through. So I got off everything. And then my girlfriend, who's like big into, you know, body image and Botox and fillers and, you know, fixing areas on her body, to her perfection. She told me about, doing Botox. And at the time I was like, I am deathly afraid of needles. I definitely don't want needles in my head. Like, that is an absolute no for me. But she eventually, convinced me. And you're right, like with social media and everything that we're seeing like online with, how perfect you can be, and even my husband just making little comments. Like, there was a commercial that was out years ago where the husband would be like, that hair, that wrinkle, and he would always do that to me. And
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was a
yeah.
joke, but like it affected me. It really did. So I eventually started the Botox, and I was on such a high dose, it was like 200 units. So like my forehead was like no
Frozen.
expression,
Mhm.
zero expression in my forehead, but all the expression was like down here. And so that got to me, because I was like, it looks fake. Like, I can see that it looks fake, and I don't like.
Mhm.
And so I'd gotten into, started following GLH just over a year ago, and took a mentorship class with Marlo Lemon. Are you guys
Oh,
familiar
no.
with her? So
I've
she's
I
also a student of GLH. And we started talking about in her mentorship how toxins can affect, our intuition, like overall putting toxins in our
Yeah.
body, what we eat and in our environment. And especially, Botox is definitely a big no-no. And we started talking about that and I stopped it
Yeah,
last
me too,
last August.
immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I, did some deep soul searching and decided, that just wasn't right for me and, cleared the reflection of the migraines in the first place and
Yeah,
haven't.
yeah, yeah, 'cause that's the big one, right? Because
Yeah,
that's
you
what's
you
but
have
then
to.
even you speaking about your hu was it your husband that was making comments? That's also all reflections, right? And I remember I experienced that with my partner as well. He was
Yeah,
very critical of me, and it stopped immediately after I started working through what that like, I didn't even do it consciously, I just started seeing my own value, and then it stopped.
yeah,
And it was
exactly.
like, "Oh, okay." I was like
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I, worked through all of that and then, during her mentorship class decided, enough is enough. I don't want this, crap in my body anymore and, just stopped. And so it's been I think August, September, October, November. So September was my last injection. Haven't had migraine, headache, no,
That's
nothing. So,
amazing.
but of course,
That's
when I
amazing.
first stopped, my husband was like, "No, like you have to have the Botox. Like it's taken away your migraines. Like I don't want to take you in the emergency room. I don't want you in pain." And
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't need it. I know
No.
that I don't need it, and like I'm gonna prove that to you. And so it was weird because like between him and my daughter was like super supportive and like, that's great. I'm proud of you, mom. Like, I feel like you've gotten to the root cause of this and that like you're going to be fine. But my husband was like, no, like you need this. You need to keep getting these. And I'm like, I'm not going to go getting Botox for the rest of my life. Like I've already had it for almost 6 years. Like this is, I just can't see myself doing that for the
No,
rest of
but
my life.
then there is still something there for you to uncover, like, why he's still probing that with
Yeah.
you, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is that? Is that still, like, your inside out voice thinking that somewhere, or is that
Hmm.
him reflecting still something there? So what could work is like see why like what is it making you feel? Is it making you feel like he's trying to control you in a way or somehow in that way? And then you could go into, okay, where do I feel like I don't have the freedom to do X, Y, and Z, or getting pressure from an area of
Yeah.
life. So maybe you're not getting it in your head anymore, but you're getting it from your
Yeah.
partner.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, and diving into that because then you'll see you can even like stop him from making those comments.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been, I mean, we're halfway in through the year and it's like I'm so thrilled because I like spent like over half of my life, with migraines and headaches and it was just who I was. Like I just, you know,
Yeah.
Yep.
just how it is, this is my life, this is the card that I was dealt with. And but it doesn't have to be that way,
No.
So
No. No,
um
exactly, and that's the cool part.
yeah. Yeah. So super, super excited about that. But the questions that I had submitted were like, I love being able to like intuitively decide like which food to eat, which I can do totally fine by myself. But like when I'm with my husband or with family and friends and there's other opinions or, decisions that need to be made, how do I decide like, if I intuitively, check that I should eat, salmon and a salad, but my husband's like, no, we're having hamburgers and French fries tonight. you know,
Yeah, I think that has to do because I think, what it is, when you really hone in on your abilities and what you're capable of, then first of all, you won't have the questioning, so you'll just, what you say will go because that's you being again from somewhere, some doubt is being put in there or someone is trying to take control of the decision that you're actually making. So that is part of it. And yeah, I think that's a part of it, but what else you could do is you could see like on a level of like how optimal something is for your body, how optimal is the burger versus the salmon, and
mhm,
maybe you can find like a compromise of the two. Find a way that you could do like a salmon burger. You know what I mean? Like try
mhm,
and play around with it and see like is there an alternative that will serve my body as good as the salmon but will make everybody happy, and see if you can find something else and you can play around with that a little bit because I assume that when you're testing this stuff like with your body, there could be more than one option. Maybe
Mhm.
there's one that's the better best option for today, but could you find a middle ground of something that will be as good for your body as something else? And are there, you could even like map out like, so what I do with the members, I give them a list of protein sources, and then they can obviously intuitively check in what is better for their body at what point. But then maybe you have a list of choices that are all 94% or more optimal for your body, and then you could pick one of the two. So, or one of the five, right? So if for example it's, you could even go in and have like, okay, so you have this type of mince for burgers, you have the burger patties, or you can do this, and then you can like, or a chicken burger, and then you could even like play around with that a little bit if he wants the burger with the fries so bad, and you don't feel like dealing with that reflection and you want to do something else, then
Mhm.
you could play around with that a little bit. But I would also highly suggest looking into what is happening there, where they're trying to take over control over the decisions that you're making for nutrition, right? Of course you want to keep everybody happy, but if you've
Yeah,
got all of that figured out, you create whether that's the case or not.
right.
So I know
Which
it's a mind fuck, but it's true.
Yeah, and
So
one
that's what I would do.
I don't know if you do this too, Manuk. I heard Al mention it. I can't remember when, but he said that he will sometimes also ask, like, if I eat this, like, say it's a family gathering and there's cake, he will say, like,
Yeah.
if I eat this cake, how long is it going to take to
Yes, I've seen
get
this.
out of my body? Or, like, how long will it affect my body? I've been doing that. And I'm like, whoa, the things I'm saying no to because I get a huge, like, this is going to take 30 days, like, to process out of your body. Like, that's another thing that kind of helps me make decisions as well. But yeah, do you do that too?
I need to implement that more, to be honest.
You just shared
I
about,
I need to implement that more, to be honest.
yeah.
I have, like, intuited, like, the best sources of proteins for me and things like that, but I am pretty good with not eating a lot of processed stuff.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I sometimes also, because I had such a relationship with nutrition for a while, where I was restricting myself for such a long time, that for me, sometimes it's okay to have a little more leniency, but the leniency is like a bite of chocolate or a cookie here
Yeah.
or there, or
Mhm.
homemade cookies that I make. But, that's why, but I would like to implement that more. So thank you for reminding me of that one. It's a good one. I remember him saying that as well. But yeah, for example, with drinking, for example, I've basically almost completely,
Mhm.
apart from maybe a prosecco or something here and there on a special occasion, but that also, when I know that it's gonna be the best thing for me, I'm very easy to drop it
Yeah.
immediately. So
Yeah, I'm the same. I have like a glass of red wine once in a while. He said as long as it's just one glass and you're not like getting drunk, you're
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
enjoying the taste of it. He said it shouldn't affect you too much if it's once in a while. So I was like, oh, thank God, because I'm Italian. I love having my glass of red wine every once in a while.
Yeah, but I have that with prosecco too. Like when I like to celebrate something, I like to have like a glass of bubbly or something like that, just for like for the heck of it, like just for the celebration, and I enjoy it. But I also find that when I find alcohol-free beers or things like that, but they're like fruity because I don't like actual beer flavor,
Mhm.
just to make it like a special occasion,
Mhm.
that always helps. And I think what I really noticed as well, and that with like through my fitness journey in the beginning, so alcohol is a great example, and the eating as well. I had a lot of judgment for doing the things that I was doing because it was extreme, everything that I was doing, right? So, and you would always get these looks like, oh, I remember sitting at like a restaurant and everybody's ordering a glass of wine. And then they'd look all at me like, oh, what's she gonna do? And it was so annoying because I was like, why is there so much like stress around this? Like, can I just decide for myself? I think the more, because the less rooted you are to decisions, right? The more they can poke holes into it.
Mhm.
So the more I was like, maybe I should have the glass. Oh, what are they going to think? The more I had that going around in my system, the more they questioned it. Now, New Year's Eve, my mom goes and buys me an alcohol free Prosecco so that I can join in. And they don't even question it anymore. And they don't even ask it or put any pressure on me anymore because they just know now that I've made that decision. So especially like with that, you could even say like with the nutrition, like what should I eat this week? And then map out a few meals. You could even like do for the future, right? Like you'd be like, oh, should I have salmon on Tuesday? Should I have a burger on Friday? And map it out for the entire week. And then just go to your partner and be like, here's the menu for the week. you, you're gonna be happy with it or not. I mean, you can order something in if you don't like what we're eating on Tuesday, but that's the deal, right? So I think taking control of that situation and just like seeing like, hey, listen, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm gonna stick to, and it would be good for you. Maybe you'll like it too. Try something different, and then we'll have burgers on Friday. Do you know what I'm saying? So playing around with that a little bit as well, and just being like rooted to the decisions that you're making. That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first stopped drinking alcohol, like when I first heard that that's like a big no-no with your intuition, I was like, that's it, I'm done, and I'm in Vacaville. I told you that, Angela. So we're like Napa Valley is like our next door neighbor. So we spent a lot of time, a lot of weekends, a lot of getaways, over in Napa Valley, which is just all wine country. And so at first I remember like having a temper tantrum with Megan through an email, and I was like, no, I'm so close. Like, don't tell me that alcohol is bad for you. But so I wasn't fully rooted with it, but in my like I still was like I was just ready to give it up, but I just wasn't 100% rooted. So when we would go out to dinner, or, we still had like a ton of wine, in the house, and my husband would be like, I'm going to have a glass of wine. Do you want a glass? And I'd be like, no. Why? Like, why don't you want a glass of wine?
Yeah.
It would get questioned, or if I got, a glass of water, at a restaurant, and somebody's like, everybody else is getting alcohol. Why aren't you drinking? Like, why are you questioning
Absolutely.
that? Like, I wouldn't question you. Like, if
Yeah.
it's my choice. But now I'm so rooted in it, and like, it's just it never gets brought up anymore. So,
Yeah, that's what happens. They just
yeah,
stop asking the question. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
they do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I can
So
definitely relate to that.
yeah. And it's a big thing. It's a hard hurdle to get over because it's just been so socially
Hmm.
like
Mhm.
part of it, and you're boring if you don't drink, right? Which is just not the case.
Yeah.
But that's all part of the programming again of what we're being told, right?
Hmm.
That you can't have fun without it. And I actually have one friend here in the area who recently quit drinking, and even him asking, so what do you look forward to then? It's like life. Like
Good. Feeling clear.
not feeling like shit the next day,
Yeah.
like exactly. So,
Yeah.
and it's great, like it's hard for people because it's been so normalized, and I honestly am grateful because of my bodybuilding competition. But that's the thing, when there's a goal I have in mind, I don't care, I'll do what needs to be done. And so with the alcohol, I stopped back then already. And it snuck back in, like not badly, but like a little more frequently. And but that made it so much easier to stop again
Yeah.
because I was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, this I've done this before." So I just stop and then it's done. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of social stigma and stuff around it. And especially I know in cities like Amsterdam, for example, like more the western areas, well here too, to be honest, but here it's a different thing. I feel it's a different thing. I feel like there's a lot of escapism
Hmm.
in especially when I look at my siblings, maybe my sister more than my brother, but like it's a lot of escapism when it comes to drinking, like a lot of like, oh, I've had a hard week and I need to forget about like my hard week and like unwind and relax. And it's really bad. It's just so sad actually that we that people want to escape their own lives so badly. That's not good. I don't think we should be living like that. I never felt that way. So, and
Yeah.
I don't think we need to. So I choose not to.
Yeah. I did a source channeling on Sunday about addiction. So it's funny. That's one
Yeah,
of the things I talked about was
it's so interesting.
escapism and like all of that and how dark force related it is to, Hollywood glamorizing alcohol and drugs and all of this kind of stuff is it just keeps us limited and it keeps us
Like, yeah. But isn't that with everything? Like, that's the thing. Like, I posted recently with the body positivity movement. And when you start realizing they
yeah,
twist body positivity in a way that you're supposed to feel positive about your body, but they're actually keeping you down and small and
yeah,
compliant with being unhappy in your body by like, how do you say, like by putting like a mask over it, saying like, this is so that you can feel great in all shapes and sizes, and in fact, they're just pushing, like, unhealthy bodies and,
yeah,
like,
Mhm.
keeping you small.
yeah,
It's really insane when you start seeing how much this is being done in all areas. Like, look at Ozempic, that's a new thing as well. That's, like, it's crazy, but what it does to your body is, like, insane. It's like, no,
yeah,
no, because, like, anything that does that quickly is not good for you.
no,
Like, it just can't be, and the thing is, again, it's taking you away from the power that you have because you have that power, but we wanna be disconnected from our bodies, and we wanna be getting the results as quick as possible,
yeah,
and so that again, like, disconnects you even more from what your body's trying to communicate to you. And so what's going to happen, it's going to show up in other areas of your life, and
yep,
you're just going to have a worse time. So
yeah,
but people don't realize that. That's
no,
the thing.
no,
They're so easy to be like, oh, this is it, this
yeah,
is just who I am. And
mm-hmm,
Mhm.
it's crazy because
yeah,
it's not.
yeah,
You can do so much more, like, and when people start realizing that, that's like the coolest thing, when they start realizing, "Oh, I don't, this is not how I'm supposed to be."
yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah.
it's really crazy.
Well, this was
We're
so
gonna undo it
cool.
all.
I know. I'm like, I could chat about this all day.
I know, like, I was like, "There's another rabbit hole I could go down just over here."
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no
And
problem. I hope you enjoyed it.
yeah, no, I love it.
Good.
I love our chats.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for listening to You Can Call Me Goddess. I am so happy that you joined us in this show today. If you feel like this podcast gave you any sort of life change or value, then share it with someone you think would also get a lot of value out of it, because maybe it could just be that one thing that changes that person's life. If you enjoyed the show, please give it a nice rating below or in the show, because we would love to expand more on topics that you enjoy and keep this podcast up and running. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to You Can Call Me Goddess. I am so happy that you joined us in this show today. If you feel like this podcast gave you any sort of life change or value, then share it with someone you think would also get a lot of value out of it, because maybe it could just be that one thing that changes that person's life. If you enjoyed the show, please give it a nice rating below or in the show, because we would love to expand more on topics that you enjoy and keep this podcast up and running. Anyways, thank you, beautiful, and I hope to see you in the next